All right, y'all. Sorry for the wait. It's your girl, Miss G. I am back when Miss G investigates. As you see, we're going to talk about Rudy Farias. Now, I know a lot of people heard the story, but we're just going to go over the story in case people forgot what happened. And y'all, I have some serious questions really for Houston PD because I feel like they did not thoroughly investigate this. And why wasn't his mother charged with anything? So I know some of y'all gonna be like, well, some of those charges you can't charge her. Well, hold on now, because there's additional. So let's go ahead and get started. So for those of you who don't know who Rudy Farias is, he is he's a Houston PD native. On March 6, 2015, at the time he was 17 years old, he was declared missing. He went to go walk his dogs that evening. It was reported that one dog returned that night and the other dog didn't return back to the house till the next day. That next day, when the second dog came back, that's when Rudy's mother decided to go ahead and contact the police and file a missing persons report. Now, this is Rudy Farias' father. The disappearance was so devastating because Rudy Farias' father was a Houston PD officer, and he was declared deceased in 2014 due to a reported suicide. Also, they're stated that he wasn't really close to his father, but he was a lot closer to his half brother during that time. And this is his brother right here. This is Charles Uresti. Sadly, he was pronounced dead in 2011 after a motorcycle accident. So a lot of, devastation had rocked this family. So his disappearance only just made it worse for the Farias family. But upon the initial investigation into Rudy, Houston PD found no foul play. So they continued to search for Rudy, but eventually the trail would go cold. July 29th, Rudy was found alive after missing for 8 years. 8 years. Not only was he alive, he was found alive right in Houston, 8 miles from his house to be exact. Of course, news swept across the nation that a miracle had happened. This missing boy who had been gone for 8 years has been found alive. They did say initially that Rudy was unresponsive, so he was taken to the hospital, as you see in this picture here, to be observed, for them to check on him and everything else, make sure he was okay during all that. So who you see right here, this is Janie. This is Rudy's mother. So she released a statement on July the 3rd. Mind you, he was found June 29th. July 3rd, his mother releases a statement saying he's receiving the care he needs to overcome his trauma. But at this time, he's nonverbal and not able to communicate with us, according to media reports. This gentleman right here is Quanell X. He is an activist. And so the days after Rudy was found, his story about his disappearance takes a very dark turn, you guys. So Quanell X, he's an activist. He's known in the community. Rudy's mother asked him to accompany her when Houston PD came to talk to Rudy and her and get more details in regards to basically what happened during the 8 years he was gone. They apparently interviewed Rudy. The mother was present, which I'm like, okay. But Quanell was asked by Rudy's mother to be at the basically with the sit down with the Houston Police Department. She was in fear that she would be charged with a crime. Why? Right. Quanell ends up coming outside of a hotel in Humble, Texas, where they all met, and advised reporter that Rudy had provided some very disturbing details of the events that took place during his 8-year disappearance. So there was a whole press conference where the Houston PD pretty much broke down exactly what it was, a mixture of what Quanell said and a mixture of what they said that Rudy told them. So Quanell, let me back up a little bit. So Quanell basically said that the whole time Rudy was with his mother, and that Rudy was basically not able to have a life. He would be locked up in a house. He was only allowed to really go to work with her. And he was forced to sleep in a bed with her. And so it kind of led to some allegations, sexual abuse. He said he would not want to sleep in a bed with her and lay with her. So he would sometimes sleep on the floor. And his mother had convinced him that pretty much he never went missing, you guys. He came back home the same day. And she had convinced him that if anyone found out that he, in fact, wasn't missing, that he will go to jail. So the Houston PD hosts a press conference, and they pretty much, for the most part, said the things that Quanell said, that Rudy indeed came back home the same day he was missing. However, they did admit that Rudy's mother continued to deceive police that he was missing. During his 8-year disappearance, Rudy and his mother had several interactions with police, Houston PD, mind you, and provided fake names and birthdays so they wouldn't know who he was. According to, so his mother's name is Janie. His mother, according to Farias, Janie brainwashed him and manipulated him. Again, they admitted that she did in fact tell him that he would be arrested if he left the house, I guess on his own recognizance. Rudy stated that his mother was the only family he had left, and his mother forced him to sleep with her, but he was adamant that there was no sexual contact and that Rudy just wanted to put all of this behind him. But this is where things take a turn. These are Rudy's aunts. Rudy's aunts, which are on his mother's side, stated that she intentionally hid Rudy away from them. Pauline Sanchez, who's one of the aunts, stated that was the first time she had hugged her nephew in 8 years. 8 years. And that Rudy has been spending time with them, and he absolutely nothing to do with his mom. So people started to speak out because the police so-called did this investigation, right? And they pretty much said, oh, he was with his mom the whole time. They made it very watered down to me, in my opinion. I'm thinking a child is missing for 8 years. People went searching for this child. She had him the whole time. I just can't fathom that a woman who's capable of doing that, like that was just the whole extent of it, which it wasn't. So one of the neighbors, John Richardson, detailed how Rudy's mother, he said he would ask, had they heard anything? Had they found anything about Rudy? And the mother would tell them or tell him that they have found nothing yet, and she would cry. And he felt sorry for her, you guys. This is during the time that Rudy is missing. The aunt goes on to tell NBC on July the 6th that that basically he mentally needs to get well, and that is good. This trauma is going to forever change his life. He's going to be cautious of everything and everyone, and the family feels like there needs to be some type of legal action taken against Rudy's mother, Janie. Rudy made it clear he doesn't want to see his mother, and he doesn't want to go back with his mother. Rudy is no longer living with the mom. The aunts have him, and that's where he plans to stay. Again, so after that, after the aunts host their own press conference, Houston PD releases an official statement that Rudy's mother won't face any charges. And although they put in here he was not missing, and they put in small print, there was no evidence of sexual abuse. Now, according to Rudy, he rarely left the house other than to accompany his mother to her job at she was an overnight security guard. He was not allowed to see his family members who came to the house during those 8 years. So if they came to the house and he was not allowed to see them, wouldn't that be a charge of like maybe some forced imprisonment or something like that? I'm not understanding. But again, Houston said, oh, we're not going to charge anything. Again, Rudy aunts come out and make more statements. Michelle Rodriguez, which is one of the aunts, said prior to Rudy's disappearance, his so-called disappearance, his mother had been seen by my late grandmother causing abuse to Rudy sexually, physically, and mentally. They're saying that Janie's abuse had not just started with his disappearance, you guys. And they're saying that Janie, who's Rudy's mom, knows a lot of people in the Houston PD department and that they are covering up information that they've known for years. Now, I went ahead and pulled this up because this is Texas Penal Code Section 37081. False reporting, missing child or missing person is an offense, which is a Class C misdemeanor. Now, Rudy's mom did admit that several times she instructed her son to purposely lie to the police, give a fictitious name and birthday on several occasions. And she filed a fake missing police report. Now, a Class C misdemeanor here, I'm in the state of Texas as well, you guys. It is up to a $500 fine. There is no jail time. So I know some people like, well, you can't send her to jail for that. So that's why she wasn't charged. But that's not exactly where it gets extremely murky for me. Here's a picture of one of the many neighbors that actually stepped forth regarding this. A neighbor stated that Janie had messages between her and another neighbor where she appeared to identify herself as Dolph's mother. So you guys, she was not calling Rudy by his legal name for all those years. She would call him Dolph. He was supposed to be a nephew of hers. The neighbor said she asked them not to talk to the news. That's via text message. So I know you guys like, well, she has a right to ask people not to contact the news and, talk to them and, things like that. Okay, I'll give you that. This is a snippet of a TikTok video that I found taken by Grizzly Hood News. And there was a whole small press conference. That house you see in the back is Janie's house, actually. These neighbors have come together because Houston PD obviously only cares about certain aspects of this investigation, which I'm starting to believe the aunt that she has some type of hookup or something, because several neighbors came forward and advised that Janie tried to pay them $200 to stage a break-in in her house while she was at work. She didn't want to tell them why or what was going on. This is when all this came out about Rudy being found. So she was trying to jump the gun, allegedly, before all the news broke, and basically try to cover her own tracks. And mind you, this is on the phone that she's doing this. So Houston PD, you can't say that there's no evidence, because that is evidence. You take evidence off of phones all the time. Another neighbor also revealed that Jamie told them she hid Rudy's identity because the cartel was looking for him. So if police officers, which normally they'll get statements from people, witnesses, in a proper investigation, right? Wouldn't that be impeding an investigation if you're telling people that he was running from the cartel and you're making up stories so people feel compelled not to tell the truth and not to help get down to the bottom of this? But wait, there's more. That's not only it. Another neighbor came forward and said that she paid them $10 via Cash App to say they knew absolutely no information about Rudy. Cash App is definitely on the phone. So that would corroborate this person's story. And mind you, she's doing all of these things on a phone. Now, I'm not an attorney or anything, but last time I checked, impeding an investigation is a crime. And if those people would have done what she asked them to do by breaking in her house, wouldn't that be her creating another false report to the police department? Why isn't Houston PD addressing any of this information? I don't understand. Why are we watching this on TikTok and we're not addressing this head on? Into this woman, she's dangerous to me. I'm sorry. This woman is dangerous. She held her own child captive for 8 years. And then started to try to pay people to stage break-ins and all this other stuff. It was also reported that she was telling neighbors that they wanted to arrest her and that she felt like they think she committed a crime. And like, she has just been involving herself in every step of this investigation with all these different people. And another thing, if the Houston PD was interviewing Rudy after him being found, I want to know, why was his mom in the room? I know sometimes they'll let them do that if the child asks for the mother, but everyone is saying that he wants nothing to do with her and he doesn't want to be around her and he doesn't want to see her. So I find it hard to believe that when Houston PD came to interview him, he requested her to be in the room. So why was she in the room? Also, the aunt went on to say that initially the police had her handcuffed before they started really questioning her. And then after they questioned Rudy, she was unhandcuffed. This boy is telling you that his mom held him captive. He wasn't even able to see his family or do anything. He had to go to work with her. Now, mind you, call me crazy, but isn't working and not being compensated a crime? He had to go to work with her. Is this I'm not trying to get the security company in trouble, but if he's accompanying her to work and he wasn't an actual employee and she had him pulling shifts with her and he wasn't being compensated, isn't that a crime? Isn't that a liability to the security company? Now, all of this took place in July. It is now, as I make this video, October 22nd, 2023. Back then in July, the police said the investigation is ongoing. We have heard absolutely nothing, and it has gone radio silent, even here in the state of Texas, regarding this. Again, I'm not an attorney, but I see a bunch of charges that should be filed against her. I see some speculations regarding, the security company, that there's somebody who's literally on site who does not work there. And even if he did work there, he worked there under a fictitious name and date of birth and all of that. If you're a security guard, aren't you supposed to have some strict background check? At least to my knowledge. So what's really going on here? Because I'm not understanding. So I personally feel like justice for Rudy was not served. I don't. And I'm trying to figure out, what is Houston PD got going on where they're not charging this woman? So you're telling me people just will be able to go around and make false reports about children that's not missing, being enslaved at jobs and that they don't work at, and and nothing's gonna happen. Let me know what you guys think in the comment below. Like, subscribe, Follow us. We're also on Rumble as well. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. This is crazy.